out.
Tits out.
Tits out.
If you want to a vagina and you call yourself a gay man, you're not gay.
Somebody said, am I phobic against the mentally ill because I won't date them? So apparently you can't even choose to not date someone that's mentally ill.
So does that mean I'm phobic against
sociopaths
or skinny men with no muscles? Am I phobic of them?
You'd be skinny phobic or fat phobic if you didn't want to date somebody that was fat. They'd probably call me skinny phobic. I would never date someone that's thin like me.
Yes, genital preferences are always transphobic. No, but seriously, deciding that you don't want to be intimate with someone because of the genitals they have is transphobic. Particularly, like, if you think about, in this case, this means that this person is not open to dating trans women.
So what they're saying, and I said this in the Jubilee episode, I believe, and you were in a Jubilee video, right? You were into the same ones that I was in, basically.
Yeah.
I said it in the Jubilee video. They were like, genital preferences are transphobic, and I responded to that person who was non-binary, and I was like, so I have to convince myself a penis is not a penis, or that I'm all of a sudden attracted to penises. Like, I can be attracted to other parts of the person. I can't help it.
Also, we need to go back to the fact, what does phobia mean? It's like, even if you didn't like trans people, which is fucked up, it's still not a phobia unless you're fearful of them. So I just hate seeing definitions of words change loosely, and they're notorious for this. They just, say whatever the fuck they want and redefine things.
The thing about genital preference discourse for me is that I don't necessarily think that having a preference in and of itself is transphobic, but I don't think I've ever seen anyone bring it up in a context where they weren't being about trans women.
We're not being about trans women. We're being honest about our sexual orientations. And we're talking about trans men in this video, so
right.
No mention of trans women yet.
It always seems to be some cisgender sapphic who
that's me.
Clearly still equates having
Is that supposed to be a bad thing?
being a man who feels the need to make their preference known.
It's not a preference, it's a sexual orientation, and the only reason I have to make it known is because you guys redefined what a lesbian is.
Right, if we don't speak up, then we end up being called transphobic
and bigots and
for literally just being what we were fighting for the last how many years?
50 years.
In the comments of a trans woman just trying to live her life. So it's not even really a question for me of whether or not having a preference is transphobic, and more a question of why do you feel the need to bring that up on a public platform?
Because y'all were the ones that started bringing it up on a public platform. I had never made a video talking about that I would never date a trans woman with a penis until people started telling me, Arielle, you're a lesbian. Some lesbians date trans women with penises. Therefore, if you find a trans woman attractive and you don't want to date her because she has a penis, you're transphobic. I have a big issue with that. I had a big issue with it, and I started speaking up.
Right.
Y'all started this fight, not us.
I care more about logic than feelings. I'm sorry. So on my public platform, I'm going to speak about things that are true, and I'm not going to worry about how people perceive it. And it's that simple. So yes, I'm going to talk about that on my platform because it's true.
Yeah. So somebody said there's nothing wrong with people having a preference, and to call that insidious violence is completely ridiculous when people are experiencing actual transphobia. I'm assuming that's probably
correct.
What it says.
Valid.
If you don't see how this kind of quiet transphobia is directly connected to...
Quiet transphobia is the equivalent of black people saying microaggressions.
Yeah.
Not racist.
Well, the thing is a phobia means an irrational fear of something. There's no such thing as a quiet, irrational fear of something, or else it's not irrational.
That's true too.
So it doesn't make any sense. But none of it
Literally
does.
never makes
We're
sense.
trying to rationalize literal insanity for your entertainment.
Quick little segue, because a lot of people have been asking me who I am voting for. I am indeed voting for President Trump, and this video is being sponsored by Ground News. And the reason I bring that up is because the amount of times that I've been told that Trump is against LGBT people, or that a certain political party has made laws targeting LGBT people when none of that was true, is gross. But that seems to be the only narrative currently on the left, so it can be hard to find positive stories regarding Trump and the community. Which is why, once again, I am partnering with Ground News. Absolutely love their app and website. Click the link in my description or scan the QR code on the screen to follow along. As you guys already know, they created their patented blind spot feed to help expose what the other side isn't covering, like Trump pushing a new GOP platform softening the party's positions on abortion and same-sex marriage. This story has been covered by 26 news sources, with the majority coming from right-leaning sources, probably because Trump is actually standing up for the LGBT community and it doesn't fit with the leftist narrative. Meanwhile, the New York Post, a right-leaning outlet owned by the Murdoch family, thinks that Trump-driven Republican platform is a recipe for success. This is just one of the reasons why I love staying informed with Ground News. You can go to ground.news/Arielle to sign up. They make their plans super accessible, starting at just around $1 a month, which is incredible for what we actually get with that dollar. But you can also save 40% if you get what I have, which is the Vantage plan. which includes unlimited access to everything, including their blind spot feed. Subscribing not only gets you access to a platform where your views are respected, but it also supports my work, and of course you guys know that's incredibly important these days.
Actual transphobic violence that we face, like, I don't know how to help you. People who flirt with my partner when they think he's cis, only to reject him for being trans on the apps. That ideology is A, it's a genital preference, which is transphobic, but B, it feeds into the idea that trans people are deceiving you.
You are.
You are if you pass. Like, it's good for you, but it might not be good for somebody else. Like, I've met a bunch of trans women that pass very well, right? And I was attracted to them. But then when I find out they still have male genitalia, I'm turned off.
Right.
The same could be true for a biological woman that I was attracted to, and all of a sudden I see her naked, or I see a different part of her personality, and I see more of her, and then I'm not attracted to her.
Yeah, then you're
like,
unattracted to them.
It's the same thing. Like, it's not transphobia. It's not a genital preference. It's sexual orientation. If you look like a woman, I'm going to assume you have female genitalia.
Right.
If you don't, like, I had a friend that went to a queer party one time. This was like 5-6 years ago. He was flirting. He's a gay guy. He was flirting with what he thought was a gay man. He was being his whole self. Took a guy in the bathroom, put his hands down his pants, and there was a vagina. That is not consensual.
No.
That is borderline rapey, because he did not consent to touching a vagina. He thought he was going to go down there and there was going to be a nice dick, and there wasn't. And that's a problem.
Oh, I don't even want to think about that.
I don't even know what I would do. I felt a penis exactly one time in my life, and it was on a YouTube video. The video has like 40 million views.
Really?
Yeah, I'll show you after. It was for my friend's channel. I had to take a Xanax before I did the video. And I went all up in his shit, right? He was a gay guy, so it wasn't awkward. And I was like, this is the only time I'm ever going to be touching a dick. Like, let me make sure I get all up in there, like, move that shit around. Like, all right. But, like, to think that I would be turned on by that is not even, like, I can't even fathom that thought. You know what I mean? Right. That was just, like, for a video experiment. I think it was Lesbians Touch Penis for the First Time was the title of the video.
That's a genius video.
But you guys know, for those of you who've been watching me for like 10 years, you guys have seen it.
We are liars, that we are tricking you. It's this very same mindset that can lead to actual danger. If someone was to flirt with me or my partner not realizing we were trans, and then discovering that we were once something started to happen, or getting very angry and escalating to violence once they realize that we're trans.
That's not why violence happens. The idea that genital preference is transphobic is not why violence happens. Why violence happens is because you're deceiving the person and they didn't consent to it. They're literally flipping this idea on its head and saying it's your fault actually when I'm the one doing something. It's gaslighting.
It is gaslighting. It is rapey. It's disgusting.
No one really even gives a shit if you have a genital preference.
Hold on. No one's forcing you to date trans people, yet we just rolled away from a video where they're forcing us to date trans people, essentially.
I mean, you don't have to, but if you don't...
You're a terrible person.
You're a terrible person.
No one is saying that you need to date everyone with all types of genitals. We literally just want you to not be weird about it. Like, if you can have a genital preference without talking about how much you hate trans women or hate trans men, or how you feel like trans women are predatory, or how trans men aren't real men if they don't have bottom surgery or top surgery, then great.
I mean, maybe in their head, they're real men. Like, you're changing the definition of man. You're changing the definition, what else did they say? You're changing the definition of genital preference. Like, you're changing the definition of sexual orientation by calling it genital preference. You're changing all of these things that have a very specific meaning to fit your narrative. And that's a big problem.
Literally no one cares. Absolutely no one gives a shit who you do or don't date.
Okay, that's not true at all.
Then why are you guys consistently post about how it's transphobic?
Literally.
When we don't want to date you?
It took me all of 5 minutes to find like 30 of these videos. Just look up genital preference on TikTok, or like dating with transphobia or something like that. And there are like thousands of these videos. Naturally, they're all like 25 and under, these people that have these ideas.
Or autistic.
Or autistic. No, all of them
That's
are
a
autistic.
whole separate...
All of them are autistic.
A whole separate deep dive,
I've done a video on that. I'll make you watch it later.
But we also ask that you don't be weird if someone else chooses to date a trans person.
We're not weird if somebody chooses to date a trans person. Like, we have a friend. Are you friends with Marcus? Do you friends with Tranny?
Yeah.
We love Marcus. His boyfriend identifies as a gay man. I don't fucking care how his boyfriend identifies. Marcus looks like a dude, acts like a dude, goes out in public looking like a dude. If they want to call themselves gay. Marcus doesn't call himself gay. He calls himself a trans man that's attracted to men, which I respect.
I just feel like you're bisexual.
I don't care if somebody chooses to date a trans person. I actually would be happy that somebody is happy with that new person that they found to date. My issue has always been and will always be with them telling me that I have to date a trans person.
Well, I care about language. I care about how people are operating within society and is it based on truth? And I don't like feeding into delusions. I care about the well-being of the people around me, so I'm not going to stand for people literally feeding delusions as truth. So it's not about me caring who you date. I don't care who you date. I actually want, like you said, like I want to see people happy and in relationships. But the truth is that if you date both sexes, biological sexes, you're bisexual. If you date the opposite sex, you're straight. And if you date the same sex, you're gay. It's really that simple.
If you guys enjoyed this video, give it a big thumbs up because we need to bring back sanity to the LGBT community because this shit is a hot... Like, I feel like we see the worst of it during Pride Month, so maybe it'll calm down after June is over. Probably not. He's shaking his hand. Probably not.
No. Our careers are going to be very long.
That's what I usually say. I say job security. I will see you guys back here next Sunday with a brand new video. Until then, I love you. Love yourselves. Keep calling out the bullshit. Bye.
Bye, guys.